What's up guys, this is Thunderstruck115 and today I have a bit of a different kind of video. Today we are going to be talking about the upcoming Xbox Series X and more specifically how Microsoft and the Xbox team can really make a comeback in this upcoming generation. Now, I know I'm more of an Xbox person than I am a PlayStation person, but even I have to admit, Microsoft got their asses handed to them this console generation. The PS4 vastly outsold the Xbox One, and I think the Nintendo Switch has also sold more units than the Xbox One, despite the fact that the Xbox One has been on the market for 4 extra years. So, yeah, Microsoft was in a bit of a bad place right now because of how underperforming the Xbox One is compared to their competitors. But in this upcoming console generation, I think Microsoft really has a chance to take the crown from Sony and really come out on top in the upcoming console war. Now, how will they do this? Well, there's a couple things that they need to keep in mind. Number one, don't do what you did with the Xbox One and that god-awful 2013 E3 press conference. Seriously, I am so glad that Don Matrick got fired, or he left, whichever one. Because that really left a bad taste in people's mouths with things like blocking used games, console always has to be online, etc. If you were around for then, I don't really think I need to spell everything out for you because, well, it just fucking sucked. Not to mention the higher price point over Sony's console, despite the fact that the specs were lower, it really didn't spell good news for them. But recently, Phil Spencer and the Xbox team has really come out guns ablaze with the Series X. Now, we haven't actually seen gameplay of it as far as I know, aside from whatever's in the trailers, but I don't even know if that is gameplay. Microsoft has really been making announcement after announcement after announcement about this thing, and we haven't really heard as much from Sony. So it really seems like Microsoft is really going in prepared this generation. Now, there are a couple things that we still don't know, but here's what we do know. Like we all know, this will support custom ray tracing and SSD, 8K resolutions and 120 frames per second with the goal of maintaining at least a consistent 4K 60 frames per second with high dynamic range. Then again, I'm pretty sure the PS5 is also doing this as well, but I haven't really seen many specs on Sony's part for their new console, so yeah. However, in terms of power, we are going to see 12 fucking teraflops of power on the Series X. That's double that of the Xbox One X, or about 8 times the power of a normal Xbox One. And just slightly under 3 times the power of the PS4 Pro. Now, again, we don't have huge amount of details on specs from Sony about the PS5, but from leaks and rumors, it seems like the PS5 is not going to be as powerful as the Series X, and if that's true, that will give Microsoft something of an edge. But power is not going to be the only thing that people are going to look at. A big problem with the Xbox One is its lack of exclusive games. I mean, if you compare this to the PS4, PS4 has a bunch of exclusives, things like God of War, The Last of Us, Uncharted, at least I think they're still making them, etc. There's like so many of them, and as far as I know, the Xbox One exclusive can be boiled down to 3 words. Halo, Gears, and Forza. Seriously. Xbox actually used to have so many exclusives, and now they're gone. And now a lot of the exclusives are also going to be on PC as well, which means if you have a PC, you don't really have as much of a reason to buy an Xbox. It's not for a lack of studios, though. Apparently, Microsoft recently acquired a whole bunch of studios to make games for their new console, but they already have a bunch of studios that they're really not taking advantage of. Like, for example, Rare. If you don't know who Rare is, they're the people that made games such as Donkey Kong Country, GoldenEye 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Perfect Dark, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Conker Live and Reloaded, as well as many others. And there's so many IPs that they have, that Microsoft has by extension, in Rare's pocket, that they could easily use, but as far as I know, we haven't seen a lot of these. I mean, they recently made Sea of Thieves, but that lacked content till recently, as far as I know. But how about another Conker game, or another Perfect Dark, or heck, you know what'd be great? Another Banjo-Kazooie game. Especially considering that a few months ago he got added into Smash. And so, due to his increased popularity because of that, the launch of the Series X would be a great time to have Rare make another Banjo-Kazooie game and then have it exclusive to the Series X. Get people to buy it so they can play it. And I know there's that whole thing that they want everyone to be included, including PC gamers, but at the very least you could also make it like timed exclusive to give people a reason to buy the console. I mean, the original Xbox did that with games like Star Wars Republic Commando and Knights of the Old Republic. They also did that for games like Morrowind and Oblivion. Well, actually, Oblivion was on the Xbox 360, but still, it's same thing. In addition, there's also other IPs, like, for example, Fable, which had good reviews for the first two games. The third one, not so much, but I mean, that released back in 2010, but they can make a Fable reboot. There are so many IPs that Microsoft has that they're just sitting on, and they're not taking advantage of them. Battletoads, Age of Empires, Hydro Thunder, Killer Instinct, Sabermen. Seriously, so many of these IPs, they could perfectly be used to generate some exclusive games for the Xbox Series X. Or, heck, even the Xbox One, and Microsoft's not using them. Well, why not put them to use? Give them something to make for the Series X, and give people a reason to buy the console because they want to play these awesome-ass exclusive games. Another thing is, the Xbox has never really been super popular in Japan. It really started with the Duke controller being super big, and it was pretty much just downhill from there. But there aren't really that many Xbox games that are really targeted towards a Japanese demographic. And I feel like if Microsoft maybe acquired some Japanese game studios and had them make games for the console, that would really open up the market in Japan to getting the Xbox. Because Japan is one of the biggest video game markets in the world, and it's virtually untapped by Microsoft, and it's just being dominated by both Sony and Nintendo. However, if Microsoft can get some exclusive games that target this Japanese demographic, I guarantee you a lot more of them will go Xbox. Another thing Microsoft can do to get more sales for the Series X is the services. This is actually something they're doing pretty well. Things like Xbox Live Gold, Games with Gold, Game Pass, etc. EA Access. Yeah. There's like a whole bunch of services that are very high quality, and this can really be a big selling point of the Series X. Historically, Xbox Live has been more secure and more stable than PlayStation Network, but recently PSN has improved so much that I'd say it's on par with Xbox Live. So, how do you improve this? Well, this might be a bit of a radical idea, and I highly doubt Microsoft's going to watch this video, but if they do, then here's an idea. Make Xbox Live Gold free. Or, at the very least, make online multiplayer free. Like, I can understand if maybe the games with gold thing wasn't. But if you made multiplayer free on the Series X, that would really be a huge blow to Sony unless they also did the same thing. And if you don't believe me, that was one of the big selling points of the PlayStation 3, because even though that console wasn't exactly as good as the 360, at least in the eyes of most gamers, the fact that online multiplayer was free and it wasn't on the 360 was a pretty big selling point for a lot of people. So I think if they made online multiplayer free, they could easily steal a lot of people from Sony and make the Xbox Series X successful. In addition, Microsoft also recently announced that they'd be introducing a system called Smart Delivery, which is a way to help ease the transition between the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X. So the way it works is any first-party game is going to be both released for the Xbox One and the Series X, at least for the first year of the console's launch. But here's the thing. If you buy the Xbox One version, but then later get a Series X, you can play the Series X version for free without spending any additional money. So, say if I decide to buy the Xbox One version of Halo Infinite because, well, maybe I want to see how good the console is, but I really want to play some Halo, well, I can buy it on the Xbox One, and then later I say, okay, the Series X is pretty good, I think I'll get one. Well, I don't have to pay another $60 for the Series X version. And I think this is the right move for Microsoft, because even though it technically would have reduced sales, the fact that they're providing ease of access to their customers is really, really a good move. It's very consumer friendly, as opposed to some of the things Sony has been doing, because they have been a bit consumer unfriendly in the past few years, but they have been getting better, I will admit that. And I did some looking around, and this is confirmed to work for both physical game releases as well as digital ones. So even if I can just take the Xbox One disc of Halo Infinite, pop it into the Series X, and bada bing bada boom, I can download the Series X version. Apparently it sounds like it's going to work similar to how Xbox One X enhancements work. So it's just like, it'll recognize what hardware you're using and then load the appropriate version of the game. Now, the thing is, I don't know if, say, there's going to be cross-generation multiplayer for something like Halo Infinite, like if Xbox One players can play with Series X players. I can understand if they don't, due to the different architecture of both systems. Like, for example, if Series X has an SSD, which will virtually eliminate load times, at least according to Microsoft, whereas load times are definitely a thing on the Xbox One, so either you have to slow down the load times for matches for everyone on the Series X version, or you have to segregate the two, and I'm not sure which Microsoft will go with. I think the best compromise would be to make it so that you can do cross-generation multiplayer, but if you want, you can also choose to play with just people on your generation of hardware, so that way you can get a faster matchmaking experience, but that's just me. And I just want to clarify that according to Microsoft, this is only going to be for first-party games as well as any third parties that opt in. Like, for example, CD Projekt Red announced that they would be using this feature for their upcoming game Cyberpunk 2077, so you don't have to worry about purchasing two versions of the same game if you want to play the Xbox One version but then later get a Series X. However, other big-name publishers like Bethesda, Activision, EA, we don't know whether or not they're going to take this, and considering how greedy some of these companies are, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. Like, I would like it to be that if I can buy the Xbox One version of the upcoming COD game, and then if I get a Series X later, I could just play the Series X version, but I would not put it past Activision to sell two different versions, especially if it does the BO3 treatment of having so many features missing on previous gen consoles. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, but I hope that they do take advantage of this. Alright, next, backwards compatibility. Microsoft is going all in with backwards compatibility. From what I understand, it's going to be backwards compatible with every Xbox One game and any original Xbox and Xbox 360 game that's currently backwards compatible on Xbox One. TLDR, if the Xbox One can play it, so can the Series X. I am very happy about this. Personally, I would have preferred it if they made it so every game across all three consoles was backwards compatible. But you know what? This is amazing as well. I mean, the Xbox One didn't even have it at launch, and I don't think the 360 did either, though I could be wrong on that second one. Compare this to the PS5, where so far we only know that it's going to be backwards compatible with PS4 games as well as PSVR, but PS1, 2, and 3, we haven't heard anything about it. Now, it's possible that Sony just might be keeping that close to the vest and waiting for the right opportunity to unveil it, but I don't know. So yeah, Xbox definitely has the advantage there. In addition, it's supposedly going to be backwards compatible with Xbox One accessories such as controllers, headsets, etc. Now, I'm not sure if this means this will only be backwards compatible with official accessories, or if it will be compatible with every accessory, like third-party, for example. I really hope it includes third-party support, because last December I bought two PowerA wired controllers for my Xbox One because the Xbox One official wireless controllers were not cutting it for me because they kept breaking and having stick drift. Oh yeah, by the way, that's another thing, Microsoft. Please fix the build quality of your controllers, because this generation they've just been absolute shite. That aside, I hope that they include support for all third-party accessories as well as first-party, because then they'll make it so I don't have to spend a fortune on buying controllers for the Series X. So if I want to play split-screen Halo with my brother, I won't have to keep buying additional controllers. Alright, finally, we're going to talk about pricing and Project Lockhart. So, we don't know what the price is going to be for the Series X, and we don't know what it's going to be for the PS5 either. My guess is Microsoft and Sony are keeping this close to the vest as long as they can until they hear what the other person is going to price it, so that they can set theirs accordingly. Like, Microsoft, I don't think they want to set their price at $500, even though they think that's reasonable. And then Sony said, you know what? Maybe we can take the loss. We'll sell it at $400, but by doing so, we'll outsell Xbox, or vice versa. So that's probably what they're doing. But there's also rumors of a Project Lockhart being a cheaper budget version of a next generation console, because Microsoft said that the Series X is just one in a huge family of consoles. We also know that they're making something called Project Lockhart, but they haven't really told us what that's going to be yet. It's rumored that it's going to be a lower end version of the Series X that's going to be a lot cheaper. But again, that's just speculation. All we know is that Project Lockhart is a thing that Microsoft is developing. If this is true, then this will give Microsoft a huge leg up, assuming Sony doesn't do something similar, because we already said earlier that supposedly the Xbox Series X is going to be more powerful than the PS5, but that probably means that it would likely be the most expensive. Now, does that mean that they'll sell at the same price? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the prices will be different, but it's a good chance that Microsoft might price it slightly higher than the PS5. But that's where Project Lockhart comes in. At least that's what the speculation is. If Project Lockhart really is a budget version, then for those that don't really care about things like high dynamic range, 4K, 8K, high frame rates, etc., but they will still want to play next generation games, then Project Lockhart will offer them a more affordable option. Either way, it's an Xbox, and that's a huge win for Microsoft, because most consoles sell at a loss anyways, and they make their money back by licensing fees, meaning the more users they have on their platform, the more money they're making. So, to them, it really doesn't matter which you buy, as long as you buy. But you have two ends of the spectrum. On one end, you have the super hardcore gamers. I want, like, high frame rates, best visuals, and gameplay. I want these games to run buttery smooth. For that, you have the Series X, whereas for the more casual gamers, like, I want to play some of these next-generation titles, but I don't want to shell out a fortune to do so. Well, then, there's Project Lockhart, where PS5 is kind of stuck in the middle. Now, I have heard somebody say that they might release a PS5 Pro, which, if that's true, is probably going to be more powerful than the Series X, but considering Microsoft is super solid on the claim that they're going to have the most powerful console, I don't think that they wouldn't have heard about it if the community did, so I'm very skeptical about that. Either way, I believe the Series X would probably be priced somewhere around $500, maybe as low as $450, but this thing is packing some serious hardware, so I don't imagine that they'll go lower than $450, and I don't think they'll go higher than $500 simply because if they do, it's not going to resonate well with the community, because they'll say it's too expensive. Recall the PS3 fiasco, if you don't know what I'm talking about. But if there are two consoles, then it's probably likely that the Series X will be somewhere between $450 and $500, and that the Project Lockhart will probably be somewhere around the neighborhood of $300. But yeah, anyways, that's pretty much it I have for the video. These are the ways that Microsoft can really take this next console generation. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for more content. And also tell me what you think of these new upcoming consoles and what console you're going to buy, or if you're just going to go with PC, or if you're just going to wait and see. I don't know. Let's talk about it in the comments. But anyways, that's it. Peace!